From Ziggy Stardust to the Thin White Duke, Jareth the Goblin King to Blue Jean, David Bowie is a musical chameleon. Whether it's his image or music changing through the years, the golden years, if you will, uncompromising, boundary-pushing, Bowie is a true legend of music. Or is it Bowie? I still can't remember. And we are here to choose our top 10 Bowie songs. Now, first, let's have some facts, shall we? So these are the most streamed Bowie songs on Spotify. So at number 10, with 181.2 million streams, is Modern Love. That's not that one. That's the one. Number 9, Changes, 193.7 million. And at number 8 is for 216.3 million, Moon Age Daydream. At number 7, with 283.8 million streams, it's Let's Dance. At number 6, 309.3 million streams, Life on Mars. At number 5, with 365.9 million streams, Space Oddity. Ground control to Major Tom. And at number 4, 371 million streams, Rebel Rebel. At number 3, 475.7 million streams, Starman. At 485.3 million streams, Heroes. And at number 1, with 1.5 billion streams, Under Pressure.
Oh, wow.
There you go. That is our facts for today. You would have heard her just say, "Oh wow, she's a Bowie head." I will catch up with her, make sure is it Bowie or Bowie. But you see her and you love her on daytime TV as well as a Bowie Bowie-inspired titled Fame podcast. She's back for a hat-trick performance. Jo Elvin is here. Whoa.
Having me. I love you for inviting me to talk about David Bowie, but I also, even just listening to you rattle off that top 10, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh, I forgot about that one. I could do a top 50 easily.
Easily. Now, I'm not as big a... Right, so let's get the name right first. Now, he had a son, didn't he? Now, wasn't his son called Zowie Bowie?
I don't know. I would have said Zoe. But to me, it's Bowie. I'm pretty sure I've heard him say Bowie a load of times.
Then that's all that matters. As long as he says Bowie, then we go by Bowie. Yeah,
I think so. I don't like Bowie.
No, it's just one of those things that if you've heard the man himself say Bowie, then it's got to be Bowie.
Had I got my way and married him, I would have definitely been calling myself Jo Bowie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how long have you been a fan of Mr. Bowie?
Well, since I was about 12 years old, 12, 13. It's interesting that, the Let's Dance album having 2 on that top 10 of most streamed, because I think for the purest Bowie fans, that was Let's Dance was the sort of like, the commercial, it was so clever because when I was younger, I was terrified of him. When I was like 5, 6 years old, Ziggy Stardust.
Oh my God, it's mad you saying that, because I was exactly the same.
It's just too weird for me. It was too much for my little outback Australian head. And so I just sort of shunned it. But then when he toured Australia for Serious Moonlight, Let's Dance, and I loved that album. And it was the gateway to discovering all these other songs that I had no idea had been his, that I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that was David Bowie. I didn't know that was. And that was it. I was absolutely gone from then on.
Did you feel the same about Freddie Mercury in the 70s? Because I was always scared of Ziggy Stardust and the 1970s Freddie Mercury. For some reason, I don't know why.
Scared of Freddie Mercury, but I just was, being a young and then a teenage girl, it was all about pop and Queen. It's so funny, actually. Songs like Radio Gaga, I bloody hated when I was a kid. And now I love it.
Right.
And I really loved Under Pressure. So that was the first time I thought, maybe I don't hate Queen as much as I thought I do. And I think that I only learned to appreciate them in my older years.
Right. And I'm exactly the same with you in regards that Let's Dance and that whole album was my gateway into David Bowie, and then I backtracked, and again, exactly like you, I didn't realize that a lot of the songs that I really liked were Bowie songs.
How clever of him. It's like, right, what are the kids listening to? I'll just put out some of that. But, you know, you add a bit of Nile Rodgers on top, and it's just unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, it was like so successful, that album. I didn't really look to see whether it was his most successful album, but it definitely had like at least 1 or 2 number ones on it, and really brought him back into the fold.
I really remember at the time when I was like 13 or so, and we lived across the road from this guy who, you know, he would have been in his 30s. He was like a cool dad, you know, he definitely thought of himself as one, and he was like, his whole album collection was Led Zeppelin and The Who and all this, and he was like, no, I don't like David Bowie, I don't like that sort of like that camp guy. And I said, just listen to it. And he knocked on the door at like 9 o'clock one night because he just wanted to rave and rave and rave to me about this album. This old guy. It was like, so funny.
Yeah, and he's one of those there isn't that many kind of those kind of legacy acts that have changed over. I mean, again, if you put Ziggy Stardust on that era up against the Let's Dance, you wouldn't believe it was the same person.
Exactly. So, you know, as much as I really love Beyonce's new Cowboy Carter album, it's not really the pivot of all pivots when you consider, you know, compared to the legacy of someone like David Bowie.
Yeah. Because even, I mean, the music from Ziggy sounds so 70s. It sounds very glam rocky. Yet the stuff of the 80s is very smooth and very, you could say commercial, yeah, but it's just got, like you say, it's got the Nile Rodgers funk to it as well, hasn't it?
I can't wait to compare our top 10s now. And it was the most impossible task. So I did it so quickly and just went on my gut, because otherwise, how do you choose? How?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So you say about whether we compare. We've got a new feature at the start before we start revealing our top 10s. So it's time for this.
Okay.
Lisa's Challenge.
What the fuck are you saying?
Right, we're doing Lisa's Challenge. So this is basically, we have to work out how many duplicates we're going to get in our top 10 and see who gets it right at the end. So between me and you, how many songs do you think we're going to have the same in our top 10, Jo?
I reckon like 6.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to say 7. I'm going to go for 7. So it's just another little game that we can play. So we'll see at the end of it exactly where we are with that. So kick us off with your number 10 then, please, Jo.
Okay, well, I've gone with Sound and Vision.
Okay, yeah, not on mine.
Is it not?
It's not, no.
Well, what I tried to do in my quick gut instinct, I did try to give a good spread of the discography. And, you know, that is a great album, Low. And it's just, I don't know, there's bits of it that I don't really gravitate to, but Sound and Vision is just one of those songs. It doesn't matter, even if it's been used in a shitty TV ad, I can't help it. I'm bopping. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, you'll probably be the same as me, as you'll hear some of the ones that I've chosen and thought that should have been in my top 10.
Oh, yeah.
And just when this song starts, you think, how can you not, even just with that riff at the start of the song?
And you had to lay down a bass line.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing, I never really think of him as because he never used to play instruments. I was supposed to play the guitar. I wouldn't think of him as the guy that wrote the songs. Do you know what I mean? But it was mainly him that wrote all the songs, wasn't it? He very rarely wrote something with somebody else. And
just had that. I mean, yes. I mean, he definitely worked with people who, like, you know, Brian Eno and Nile Rodgers, who we mentioned, who obviously he wanted them to bring their stuff to it. But it was all from him. It was all written there.
Yeah. And he also wrote so many different kinds of songs, which I've noticed, because I had a little bit of a deep dive over the last few days of his, just to try and really see if there were any little nuggets that I may have missed. And I'm sure there are. I'm sure there'll be Bowie heads listening to this thinking, well, you've completely missed that one and that one, you know?
But they can't. I mean, they. You know what? Just don't do that to us, David Bowie fans, because you know how hard it is.
And there was also so many songs. Like I was noticing that there were so many live albums and B-side albums and things like that. That there's no way, unless you're a true Bowie fan. I've gone with mainly things that are big hits, you know, because for me they're classic songs. And
well, it's funny, you know, because when he did that Aussie tour of Serious Moonlight, he made some music videos out there and things. I wasn't allowed to go to the concert.
Oh, really?
I was 13. It was expensive. My parents were like, no, fuck off. No.
Really?
Right. So, but one of the big FM stations there played, because he had so many dates there. So they simulcast one while he was playing, and they played it on the radio live. And I taped the whole thing on my little cassette player.
Oh, really? Did you? Have you still got that tape?
Oh, I don't know where that went. So I've got this. I've got the Serious Moonlight tour on tape, probably at my mum and dad's house somewhere.
Really? Oh, yeah. It'd be amazing if you could find that, though, couldn't it? And play it just to, you know, take you back to that moment.
Exactly, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember Live Aid from 1985 when he was on there, and that was deep into the Let's Dance sort of era, wasn't it?
I was Australian. I was on Australian time. I stayed up and I did not make it. I think he was on something like 5:30 in the morning for me. And I tried and then hoped my bloody VHS recording had made it to him, but I don't think it did.
Oh, kids, if only you realised the struggles we had back in the 80s. It just wasn't that you could press something and it was there or whatever. It was so hard. And because that was what it was with a lot of television, wasn't it? If you didn't watch it on the moment that it was being done, you would never see it again.
Oh, it was a nightmare with, you know, the slightly more grown-up shows that your friends were allowed to watch that you weren't, and then they'd all be talking about it the next day at school.
Yes. It was a nightmare. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one to start with, though. That would definitely be in my top 15 Sound and Vision without a chance. Right, so my number 10, I'm going for one that probably should be higher. I'm going for Changes.
Uh-huh.
So this is one of those songs that it's got so many different bits to it. It almost feels like it's a ballady, slow song, but then goes into the chorus, and it's just a killer chorus.
It's fantastic. And again, it should be. But it was just, you know, a real Sophie's choice. It's such a youth anthem that still works. And I really loved how it ended up being quoted. I think, I can't remember if it was at the beginning or the end titles of The Breakfast Club, the John Hughes film.
That's right, yes. It's at the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's not in your top 10.
No.
Wow. That was one of the ones I had as a banker that would be in your top 10.
Not one that when I'm thinking I really want to listen to David Bowie, it is never ever my first choice. I think it would go as close to being a David Bowie song that I've heard so much that I'm good.
Right.
I'm good.
One of those ones that you kind of take for granted a little bit.
Fantastic song.
Yeah. Okay, so your number 9 then, please, Jo.
My number 9 is Station to Station. It is just the most epic, sweeping, sort of industrial, I'm going to say anthem again. I just can really, I love to listen to it and picture him dressed in that sort of like mid-70s thin white duke. It was just a moment, and something, again, completely different to anything he'd done prior. And I don't know, I've run out of words.
Yeah. I actually don't think I know this one. Is that
really?
is that wrong to say that?
I think it's on the oh Christ, what album? It's called Station to Station, the album, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it says that it's like 10 minutes long. Is it?
Proper epic. I love it for like tube journeys.
Right. Okay. I'm going to have a bit of a listen to this one then, because
heard it.
Oh, it actually mentions the Thin White Duke in the
Have you really not heard this?
No, I haven't.
Wow.
I'm going to have to.
And that is an amazing one to listen to live as well.
Right. Okay. Okay, well, obviously it's being added to the list, so I will have a listen to it when I put the Patreon video playlist together. So I take it you did get to see him live.
I never did.
Oh, you never did?
I never did. Did you?
No, I didn't. No.
I had a tragic story. He when he toured with Glass Spider, I had tickets. It was a bit dicey though because it was right in the middle of my A levels, so no one was happy about that. And then I crashed my parents' car.
Oh dear.
Totally my fault. And as punishment, they made me sell my tickets to help pay for the car.
Really? And that hasn't stuck with you all these years, though, has it?
Not at all. A friend of mine came over from Sydney and presented me with a load of letters I'd written to her, and I'd gone into great detail about my heartbreak about this.
I feel like we've led very parallel lives, you know, because I never got to go and see England versus Brazil, I think it was, as a school trip, because my next door neighbour's kitchen window got broken by a football and I got the blame for it.
No.
And it wasn't me, it was Martin Young. Fucking Martin Young.
That is, no amount of therapy is going to help with that.
No.
But I can't believe I haven't told you this yet. I was once in the same room as him.
Who, Martin Young? Did you have a go at him?
Martin Young, I had a word. He won't do that again. No, it's David Bowie at the GQ Man of the Year Awards. And I said to the publicist who I knew from some of her other clients, I said, I cannot believe I'm in the same room as David Bowie. And she said, well, you got to come and meet him. And I said, no way, no way. She said, no. She was like practically burning, twisting my arm.
Really?
And I know that I'm going to be so struck dumb. I'm going to say something stupid or I'm going to say nothing. And that's what I'll remember every time I think about David Bowie. It's not happening. I'm not doing it. And I didn't.
You should have just gone up to him and gone, is it Bowie or Bowie? What would he have said?
Well, I think he might have just looked at me witheringly and then I'd never been able to listen to the music again.
They always say never meet your heroes.
Well, I think that I actually read David Bowie quoted as saying that, so I took his advice.
Really? It's one of those things, though, that they're the kind of people that you think are going to live forever, don't you? Not get cut down at an early age. So,
well, we'll have to talk about his passing at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we'll leave that to near the end of the pod because I don't want you to get too upset.
No.
Okay, my number 9, I'm going for Oh You Pretty Things.
Oh, that's another lovely song.
Which I only really listened to it properly doing like research for this podcast. So if I hadn't have had the podcast, I wouldn't have thought about it as a top 10 choice, you know?
Hunky Dory is one of my most treasured albums. I love it so much. I do have Hunky Dory represented on the list, but I decided to limit myself to one, and this is not it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hunky Dory has really special memories for me as well because I listened to it a lot when I was traveling through the States on my first ever trip abroad, and it was just the soundtrack. I think I love Kooks from that. I love it. It's the most perfect album, I think, and I think it was quite underrated at the time.
Right.
But I believe, I could be wrong about that, but it's beautiful.
So would Hunky Dory be in your top 10 of like greatest albums of all time, do you think?
I mean, there'd be a lot of David Bowie on that, but yes.
Oh, right.
So yeah.
If only you'd been able to get near him and just say to him how much you loved Hunky Dory. Wouldn't that be a great thing to say to him?
No, but there's nothing you could say to David Bowie that he hasn't heard a million times before. And that's just, it's just like, it would have been better if, I don't know, I served him in a bloody checkout or something like that. That would have been better, something to talk about. Like, that's $6.99, thanks, David. Do you know what I mean? But no.
Yeah. I think I agree with you because there's nothing that you can say that is going to enhance his day in any way, is there, that he hasn't heard a million times?
And you very kindly mentioned my podcast at the beginning. That is one of the reasons I launched the podcast. It's like, what must it be like to be those people where, you know that everybody else's interaction around you is affected by them freaking out because they're in your presence. I mean, you can't ever be normal again.
No, I was listening to the Amy Schumer episode today.
Oh, well,
and she was saying the same thing, that, like, you know, people, she'd go over and almost want to give people a photograph or whatever, just to sort of kind of get it out of the way because it feels uncomfortable when she walks into a room.
Yeah.
And it must be hard to feel like, well, they're just normal people, but obviously they're not normal people, are they? Because
I love her for admitting that, because I think a lot of famous people don't want to say, yeah, I know I'm really fucking famous. And, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think it's a weird existence.
But you must get that. You must get people. No, but you must get people. I mean, you're on TV. You must get people that recognize you.
Sometimes, but I don't think there's not much of that kind of like, oh, it's her, hush, as I walk into a room. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just not really. No, I mean, I suppose I'm not famous. I'm somebody with a profile to a certain extent. I think there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm always starstruck when I see you, Jo. I don't know what it'd be like if I saw you like face to face. I probably wouldn't want to come up to you and say anything because.
Oh well, look at me directly in the eye. We'll be cool. All right. Yeah.
Unless I'm serving you at Tesco or wherever it is, maybe that you can talk to me then. Okay, your number 8 then, please.
Well, my number 8. I think if you don't know Station to Station, I don't think you're going to know this song.
Okay.
It's called "Right" from the Young Americans album.
It's called Right.
Yeah, RIGHT.
Okay.
I love that album. It's so kind of cool, and it was like, you know, really, it was his jazz moment, jazz funk, and it's just a really gorgeous, mellow, funky little song, and I've just loved listening to it.
Okay, and what album is this from? Is this from the Station to Station album?
Young Americans.
Young Americans. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, bit of sax.
Oh, and he does play the sax.
You can't get much more jazzy in that than a bit of sax, can you?
Really cool. It's a bloody cool album. I think a lot of people should revisit that one. I think another one that hasn't had the kudos it needs.
Right. Okay. It definitely sounds a bit more sort of low key, doesn't it?
The whole thing is like that. It's like jazz club, you know, smoke lounge. It's
okay. Okay. Well, I mean, for me to win Lisa's challenge now, I'm gonna have to get every single one exactly the same as you now. So I think I'm completely fucked when it comes to to that part of the.
Sorry, I literally went with my gut and my personal motivation.
That's fair. I mean, look, everyone's top 10 is correct. So, okay, I'm going for one which is, I think it was classed as a duet. I think it was. Yeah. So I'm going for "Tonight" by David Bowie and Tina Turner.
Very good. God, I'd forgotten that album, if I'm honest.
Which album was it from? I can't remember which album. Let me see. It was from... I don't know what album that is. It's got Blue Jean and everything on it. But this is I've got an ulterior motive to have this one in my top 10 because there was a bit... If you see that the video for this is... Tina Turner and David Bowie live on stage.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, and they during.
I checked for you.
Oh, thank you. During the instrumental break, they have a bit of a smooch. Now, somebody who did lip reading apparently said that David Bowie says to Tina Turner, "My cock is still sore after last night," because there was a rumor that the two of them got it on while David Bowie was on stage. And that is apparently what he mouthed to her while they were dancing. So I'm going to put that video on the video playlist so you can have a look yourself, or go onto YouTube if you want and have a look. But that was apparently a story that was true, apparently.
I know that. And had I known that at the time, I would have been absolutely devastated for weeks. Would have been so... I know.
Now, I don't know if it was just a ships passing in the night kind of thing, or whether they had something going on or whatever. I got no idea, but that apparently was...
I get the feeling David Bowie sailed quite an armada. So, yeah. I
think by the sounds of it, I think he did. I think he, on both sides of the pond, if you get my meaning.
Enjoyed his time.
I think he did. I think he did. But it's a beautiful song. It's a really, really nice song. Very simple sort of reggae infused love song. But yeah, it's a great tune. So I've got that one as my number 8. Okay, your number 7 then, please, Jo.
My number 7 is The Man Who Sold the World.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I haven't got that one in my top 10.
You haven't got it more in common. I love this song. That riff, that guitar, it's just amazing.
See, this is another one I don't think I've ever heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
So what year is this one from?
I think this is, gosh, it's like early 70s. It might even be 60s.
1970.
Yeah. And he really upset everyone by being on the single, the cover of the single, or it might even be the album, wearing a dress.
Yeah, it's on the album, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. He was that's where he was a bit of a trailblazer, because he was doing that sort of thing way before people like Boy George was doing that kind of thing, where you didn't know quite whether he was a man or a woman or both or neither.
Exactly. Famously freaked everyone out on Top of the Pops with Starman, didn't he? But
exactly.
But yeah, had I seen Starman, I think it was at like the 73 performance. I think it was. I would have. I would have been going, "What is it? Turn it off!" as a 3 or 4 year old.
Yeah.
But I've learned to appreciate it.
Well, I think it was the fact that he was like a scary clown, because he had pale white face.
Yeah.
He had what looked like 2 different coloured eyes.
Well, he does. He did have that.
Yeah. Like the shock of this sort of like spiky ginger hair.
Yeah.
And it was and wearing clothes that you didn't quite know what he was. He was like an alien. So as a kid, very, very sort of scary, because you didn't really. I was 1970. So say mid 70s. I was 5-6 years old, and sort of getting on to the mid 70s. So I was, he was a scary person to look at.
You and I, we had enough on with the Daleks, I mean, fuck off.
Don't get me started with the Daleks.
Like, TV was quite stressful for us.
And the Doctor Who music was enough to like shit myself. Oh God.
So true. But I can't explain why I like the song. I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, that's a great one. I will definitely listen to some more of these ones, because I feel like I need to broaden my Bowie arc a little bit, I think. So my number 7, we're going to go to the Let's Dance era, and we're going to go for Modern Love. I mean, so what year was this? This would have been 83, 84, maybe? 83. So
I think I listened to this song 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for at least 7 weeks. Really? Oh my God, I could not get enough of it. I could not.
And I remember buying this single. I also remember, and this is something for you kids, we never had things like even have MTV or anything like that then. So sometimes they would stick a music video on sometime. I used to have a videotape, and the first 3 songs on it were Our House by Madness, the video of that, Love of the Common People by Paul Young, and this, Modern Love. And I think I may have had like 7 or 8 videos on it also. So I would just play them over and over and over again. And there's just something, the live version of this song is a little bit different. It's not the same as this, but it's such a great song.
I don't remember a video for this. I do remember live footage. And this was he just looked his most handsome, not actually bringing out that, really commercial poppy record. Yeah. He looked for the first time like just a devastatingly handsome, suited up man. Yeah. I was smitten. Yeah. The video, the official video of this is basically them singing it live on stage. Yeah. And it's just, I think he jumps over the camera, and there's lots of quick editing, like 80s video editing and stuff, but it is such a good, it's a bop, I think, as the kids call it. Absolute bop. Okay, so we're going for your number 6 then, please, Jo. Well, funny enough, Carl, my number 6 is Modern Love.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so there you go. We've got one. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I'd done something wrong then, because you called me Carl,
Oh no! Is that
That's fine. That's fine. It's just that normally if I hear a lady call me Carl, it's my wife telling me that I've done something wrong.
Well, I'm pointed that you haven't heard Station to Station or Man Who Sold the World, but I'm trying to.
Fair enough.
It's I had to put Modern Love on this list because it's, as we've said, it's a brilliant song, but it was what introduced me to David Bowie.
Yeah.
So it has to be in my top 10.
Yeah, because on that album, obviously Let's Dance was the massive hit. China Girl was another massive hit.
China Girl, he famously hated China Girl, which is really funny. I saw him sing it on Rosie O'Donnell because she liked it, but through gritted teeth.
Oh, really?
So I hope but I really love Cat People on this album as well. There's so many, like even Shake It, that's a really tiny little unsung hero of a song, but it's everything about this album is perfect.
Yeah, because I can also remember, wasn't there like an X-rated version of the video of China Girl where there was a bit of nakedness and sex in it?
My God, 13-year-old me, super in love with David Bowie. Of course I wanted to see that. Of course it broke my heart. And then apparently he had like a whirlwind affair with the girl in the video.
Oh,
she
really?
went touring and with them. And she's been reasonably tight-lipped about it, but I've seen a couple of interviews where she said, well, I had a lovely time.
I bet she did. I bet she did. And again, being a 14-year-old like I was, that kind of stuff wasn't easy to look at. You couldn't find a lot of stuff like that, so you'd sort of take what you could in regards to finding a bit of skin and flesh and naughty bits on the TV.
You don't mind, and I wish that was a euphemism, but it's not. It was in my southern hemisphere, but like not my southern hemisphere. Let's just
I'll ding that anyway because it sounded rude. Okay, so that was your number 6. My number 6, I'm going for what is an absolute classic. So I'm going for Starman at number 6. Again, probably should be higher.
Well, no, I love Starman. I've prioritized other Ziggies.
Right.
But I love Starman.
So
love
Starman isn't in your top 10?
No.
Wow.
I mean, even just for You Can Pick Him Up on Channel 2. I loved that lyric when I was a kid. I don't know why.
It was just
singing
such
about
a good tune.
A bit modern and strange when I was
Yeah. And the thing is, like I said earlier on, about the fact that this was the time when he looked like an alien. So it's almost like he's singing about himself, that he is the Starman.
Did you ever listen to the radio show of the Flight of the Conchords?
I love Flight of the Conchords, yeah.
And when they're talking about it, and Brett's like, what must it have been like for him up in space, like playing it like a lot of people did think that David Bowie was from space.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not hard to imagine, like, why.
We're about the alien, and
Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's that. Right, we're halfway through, so it is now time for this.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
It's quiz time. So what I'm going to do, David Bowie lyrics.
Okay.
All right,
I'll give it a go.
And then you got to tell me what the title of the song is, okay?
Okay.
Now, the best we've had so far on these 10 questions, we've had 70% by Anne Hegarty, the governess of the Chase, on her quiz. No, actually, 80% she had, sorry.
Of course she's going to do the best.
Of course she did. But she still got 2 of my questions wrong, which I'm quite proud about. I was quite proud of that.
In your face, then.
So here we go, then. These are all David Bowie songs. You have to tell me what song these lyrics are from. So are you ready? Number 1.
Yeah.
Sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh, man. Look at how those cavemen go.
Life on Mars.
Well done. 1 out of 1. If our love could fly over mountains, could laugh at the ocean, just like the films.
Absolute Beginners.
Oh, this girl is on fire.
I don't know.
That lady once sang.
Yeah.
Number 3. He kissed her then, and there she took his ring, took his babies.
Young Americans.
Oh my God! Even if I'm trying to sing it so it's not in the same cadence as the songs. I'm trying. Oh, well done. 3 out of 3. Okay, Anne, she's coming for you. Okay, number 4. Because my love for you would break my heart in two if you should fall into my arms.
Let's Dance.
Oh, she is on fire.
I don't know.
Number 5. Pale blinds drawn. All day, nothing to do, nothing to say.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
It's in your top 10.
Is it?
It is. It's Sound and Vision.
Oh, man.
Never mind. On to number 6. There's my baby lost. That's all. Once I'm begging you, save her little soul.
Christ, I don't know that one either.
Oh, dear. It's Golden Years.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
God, you're right.
Number 7. Time and again I tell myself I'll stay clean tonight, but the little green wheels are following me.
Ashes to Ashes.
Well done. She's back on the boat. Bike, back on the bike, back on the bus. What's the? I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
Number 8. You love bands when they're playing hard. You want more and you want it fast.
Rebel Rebel.
Oh, well done. Number 9. And the shame was on the other side. Oh, we can beat them forever and ever.
Heroes.
Well done. And for 8. If you get this one, you'll get 8 out of 10. One day, I'm going to write a poem in a letter. One day, I'm going to get the faculty together.
I know this.
I know you know this. One day, I'm going to write a poem in a letter. One day, I'm going to get the faculty together.
I can't do it.
You can, Jo. You can. Come on.
Oh Jesus! It's not happening. The wheels are firing.
Oh no! It's Blue Jean.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. It's not one of my faves.
No, never mind. That's 7 out of 10. 70%. That's very good.
That doesn't suck, right?
That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Well done. And the fact you said so many of them with such confidence. Fantastic. Well done. I'm very impressed. Okay, back to the job in hand. Your number 5 then, please, Jo.
My 5 is Life on Mars.
Oh, that's my number 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an amazing song. Do you understand it? I don't.
I tend to try and not read into songs because it just, you're in a whole heap of trouble if you try and...
I need to. But it's just, there's something so heartbreaking about it.
Yeah. I agree. It reminds me of, well, this one and Space Oddity also are in the same ballpark as like Rocket Man, Elton John. It's that kind of...
Yeah. And look, here he is on my shirt in his little iconic blue.
There he is.
Yeah.
There he is. And let me just, for the people that are just listening, Jo has got this amazing Bowie shirt with like all different Ziggies and stuff on it. It's just amazing. It's what, sorry?
They're all hand painted on.
So is that a one-off shirt?
No, they made them, but I don't think you can get them anymore.
Oh my God. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. We were doing our, I was recording the Rolling Stones episode a couple of days ago. And I was saying how every legacy band has got that one song that you class that is like their Bohemian Rhapsody, or Eric Clapton has Layla. And I'm just wondering whether this one or Space Oddity is Bowie's epic song.
I think, he's got a few. I think Space Oddity definitely is. I think the thing of what's weird about Space Oddity is, it's that future retro thing. It's like what old-fashioned people thought of as the space age, but it still hits in that sort of spacey way. It still has that futuristic epic feeling to it. I think it's just incredible.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's as much as we say the I word, and it's one of those iconic songs, without a doubt. I'm surprised it's that low on your list. I thought it would be a bit higher, I must admit.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
No, the favorites really hit hard, and this is like we're getting into some very tough territory now.
I feel like we are.
What's your 5?
Well, my number 5, I'm going for Young Americans.
Oh, love Young Americans.
It's just got that group, and the oh, that's not Young Americans, and that's still the. There you go.
This is one of the ones. I think this was the first song I remember hearing after I'd bought Let's Dance. And thinking, I didn't know that was him. Oh my God. But yeah.
Do you know, is that him playing the saxophone on this?
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know for sure. Yeah.
Again, it's just got a great groove to it. I mean, I got no idea. Bowie also is one of those guys that you hear him sing and you don't know what the lyrics are that he's singing.
Yeah.
He's very, it all sounds like one long. Look,
all you need to know is she took his ring, she took his babies, and that's the end of the story.
And that's it. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. But yeah, again, it's another one of those bops as far as I'm concerned, Young Americans, but it's an absolute classic.
Yeah.
Okay then, so here we are then. What's your number 4?
Well, my number 4, this one might surprise you, but I just think this is just the most beautiful, epic ballad, and I'm not much of a ballad girl. Wild as the Wind.
Okay, right. I definitely don't know that one.
Oh, so gorgeous. I saw him sing it live on the telly at a BBC lounge thing, and it was just incredible.
Okay, so what era is this from then?
It's like, I think it's kind of like late 70s.
Oh, this is from the Station to Station album.
I think, yeah, you're right, actually.
Yeah,
sorry,
1976.
Back of it all.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't.
yeah.
Oh, he wasn't prolific in regards to sort of how many songs. I mean, he had 6 songs on that album.
Yeah. But
so I take it that was a normal album, was it? Because that seems like not very many songs for an album.
I think it really varies. I think he obviously just thought, that's your lot. That's what I'm good for on this one. I mean, Ashes to Ashes is a reasonably short album as well. I think, what is that, like 10 songs?
Oh,
so,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was saying about him being uncompromising. It wasn't the fact that I'm going to churn some. Maybe it's the fact that he'd rather have quality over quantity.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've did read an interview. He's not the first artist to say this. So, you know, I don't write songs thinking, oh, will they like it? I just write what I like.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, if only you'd got in front of him, you could have asked him, you know, whether or not he was like quality over quantity. If only you've had that chance, Joe. But
it would have been like,
okay.
Is this a fucking interview? What is it? You know, there's no positive scenario in my head from that.
I am joshing with you a little bit. I completely understand. I don't think if I ever got in front of someone like Harrison Ford, who's like one of my heroes, or Steven Spielberg, there is nothing I'm going to say to them. I would probably just cry like the geeky baby that I am.
Look at you, with your little stormtrooper heads in the back.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Or George Lucas. I'd just be like a blubbering wreck. And what's that going to do for their day?
And it's just going to mean that every time you watch Star Wars, that's what you think of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like Harrison Ford is one of my massive heroes. He'd just tell me to fuck off.
We don't need to. He would. He definitely.
He would, because he's. Yeah, he's that kind of guy.
Already said that to his wife 5 times today. But yeah. Yeah.
Okay then, right, so that's your number 4. My number 4, you just actually mentioned it, and it's Ashes to Ashes. I've got that
fabulous.
It's now, the first time I watched this, again, it was weird because it had a weird video. It was sort of in the start of putting no, was it Godley and Cream? I think it was Godley and Cream that directed this video, I think.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, it was 1980. So it's only just 80s, but it was so full of 80s tropes.
Absolutely.
And I think Steve Strange is in it as well, isn't he? I mean,
Steve Strange. Yeah, and your side, I think Midge had something to do with it because he was in Visage at the time as well. I think maybe had something to do with it, but it's very, like I say, it's just on the start of the 80s, but it is dripping in 80s. And
it's just the chords, the opening chords are like nothing you'd ever heard at the time.
Exactly.
And he managed to craft that into a pop song that all the radio stations wanted to play, which is another thing that I never thought that at the time I would never thought that radio stations would be like, oh yeah, we'll have this.
And again, I challenge anybody who's never heard this song or only heard it a couple of times to listen to it and write down what the lyrics are, because you can't understand a word he's bloody saying.
Lyrics to this one. If only you'd put those in the quiz. I even know the bits where he's like got that sort of like that robotic voice echoing the chorus, and it's like whoa, whoa. I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Well, there was one in the quiz, and you got it right. So.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
Yes, you did. There was one in there. So that is my number 4. So your number 3 then, please, Jo.
My number 3 is Ashes to Ashes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
See? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So that's another one that we've got. We've got 3 the same so far.
But there are so many songs on my list, I don't know about you, that in 40 more years now, I don't get bored with.
No.
And they still sound as fresh as when I listen to them. And Ashes to Ashes is definitely one of those.
I would say at least, especially my top 7. My top 7 are ones that I could listen to easily every day.
Yep.
Yeah, because they are just classic songs. And I think that's as much as like I feel like people that something like, say, Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't listen to that song anymore. I hear it, but I don't listen to it, and I don't appreciate now because I've heard it so many times.
All right, I don't put it on. If I hear it, I'm like, way, it's a bop, turn up the radio. But no, I'm not really, I don't delve much into the Queen catalogue, sorry.
No.
Yeah.
But there's so many songs like that I think you've heard to death. I mean, Christmas songs are another one. You hear all the Wizard and Slade, and as much as I love Christmas music, you kind of think I don't think I'd worry if I never heard those songs again.
I think I'm amazed. My heart sinks. My rage just ignites when I hear "Here It Is, Merry Christmas." I hate that song so much. I hate it.
Okay, so I'm not going to put you in for top 10 Christmas songs then, because
God.
Luckily, we've already done that episode, so go back and listen to it, Jo. Please go back and listen.
I could have do a top 10 of Christmas songs. I don't like them.
There are some good ones out there, I must admit. They're out there, but they just don't make them anymore, do they? That's the thing. They just don't.
I don't like them.
No, not one.
Red-nosed reindeer. That's it.
Really? White Christmas? You don't like White Christmas?
It's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Jo, that's fine. Okay, so that was your number 3. My number 3, we have mentioned it earlier on, but I'm going for Space Oddity at number 3.
I love Space Oddity. I haven't put it in my top 10. I know, that is a real clutching pearls moment.
Wow.
Because, again, I had other fish to fry from that album.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's wonderful, that song.
That does shock me, I must admit. I'm not going to lie. That shocks me more than your hate of Christmas songs, I have to say.
Look, no shame. I love that song. I love it. I've written, while we've been here, a list of other songs that I want to put on the top 10 list.
Yeah. It never stops, does it? It never stops. But yeah, I don't think you can say any more about this. I think this one and Life on Mars are his 2 absolute epics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. Okay, so if that's right, so I wonder what's going to be your top 2 then. Okay. Number 2 for you then, please, Jo.
Pardon?
What's your number 2?
I don't think you'll be surprised by my number 2. You might be surprised by my number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is Moon Age Daydream.
Okay.
Oh my God, that song is the best thing. And I actually love, when I listen to it now, how dated the lyrics are. It's just, it was just of a time, but the music still hits. And it's fantastic. If I could have seen this live, it would have been my life complete.
Well, this obviously got a massive rebirth with Guardians of the Galaxy, didn't it? Because it was like, that was the first time I heard it, and I didn't realise that it was a Bowie song until I saw the soundtrack.
Oh, it's just, I had one of my best friends, we went through a period back in the 90s when we worked together where we would just burst into songs singing it to each other.
Really? So is this like a big Bowie hit or a big Bowie song? Because I'd never heard it before Guardians of the Galaxy.
sure you did mention it in the top 10 of his most downloaded.
That is true. Yeah, it's
And
number
I'm
8.
surprised at that because I wasn't sure whether or not it was a single from the Ziggy album. But when I went and saw there was a film about him last year, and it was a huge part of that film as well. So it's a friggin' great film.
Yeah, I always thought that the reason it was in the top 10 of the most downloaded songs was because of Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe because a lot of people have discovered that song because of that movie.
Yeah, I guess, but I know it was before then a well-known song.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 2 was Life on Mars. So before we reveal our number 1s,
Yep.
would you like to give us a countdown from 10 to 2? I'll do the same, and then we'll reveal our top 1s.
Okay, so can we also, right at the end, do a quick list of other ones that we really wanted to put on?
Yeah, absolutely. Honourable mentions, yeah.
So, number 10, Sound and Vision. Number 9, Station to Station. Number 8, Right. Number 7, The Man Who Sold the World. Number 6, Modern Love. 5, Life on Mars. Number 4, Wild is the Wind. 3, Ashes to Ashes. And 2, Moon Age Daydream.
Wonderful. Mine was number 10, Changes. 9, Oh You Pretty Things. 8, Tonight. 7, Modern Love. 6, Starman. 5, Young Americans. 4, Ashes to Ashes. 3, Space Oddity. And 2, Life on Mars. So, Jo, what is your number 1 David Bowie song?
Now, it's a very personal number 1, just because I love it so much. And I think I did this to you in Elton John as well, when nobody else had ever really listened to Song for Guy. But my number 1 is from Ziggy Stardust, and it's 5 Years, the opening track on Ziggy Stardust.
Oh, right, okay. 5 years.
Much. The really drum beat, the world's ending. It's sort of like telling the story of the whole man coming from space to save us all. And again, the lyrics are so wonderfully dated. It's just fabulous.
Yeah, I feel there's certain movies that I feel like I need to see, and there's a lot of albums that I feel I need to hear, and I think the Ziggy Stardust album is one album that I need to really have a proper listen to. You really, you have to. You can't be a David Bowie fan without. But also, it's the orchestra and everything in this. It's another epic song from David Bowie, and it's actually really, really short, and it just builds and builds and builds to something incredible. Right. So, which is your favourite? I knew you said Hunky Dory was like one of your great. So that one or this album, which is your favourite one out of the two? Oh, it's too hard because they're again because they're so different as well. And Ashes to Ashes is another huge favourite. And it just depends what mood I'm in and what phase I'm in my life. Sometimes I listen to Hunky Dory on repeat. Sometimes I listen to this on repeat. It's too hard. You can't do it to me. Okay, I won't do it to you. I won't do it to you, because I really don't want to put you under pressure. I really don't. And that is what an amazing link, because that is my number 1. It's not necessarily a Bowie song, and it's wonderful. But this was in. I've done a few top 10s about music, and this has been in a couple of my top 10s because this for me is one of those perfect songs. And it gift of Vanilla Ice as well. I mean, there's a downside to everything, Jo. There really is. I love that. I'll put this in the video playlist for the Patreoners. When he had that interview, and the guy said, "But you've just ripped off Under Pressure." He said, "No. It's a completely different thing. If you listen, there's a whole extra note that we've put in, and it doesn't go dum 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 dum. It goes dum 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 dum. So it's completely different." I thought, you prick. Twist changes everything. Changes absolutely everything. I mean, the Royal Records would have told us a different story. Exactly. Yeah. But this is just. There's no words for it. For me, it's one of those perfect songs. It is just great. And the fact that Bowie is there to do his little bit on it. I can always remember the Freddie Mercury tribute concert when he did this with Annie Lennox. Oh, yeah. Incredible. It was such a good version of it. It was so good. But and it just builds, and I think it really captures the mood of the 80s as it was. And it was something that my daughter really got into Queen after watching the film Bohemian Rhapsody. Right. He has always
been a real refusenik when it comes to David Bowie, but even she played this song on repeat.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. Job done then. So that's our top 10. So what have you got on your honourable mentions list before I go through some of our listeners?
I do want to mention, we didn't delve into, the end of David Bowie's career. I want an honourable the song Black Star, which is so weird. It's such a weird song, but I couldn't stop listening to it, especially in the weeks after he passed away. It's just something so grand, and it's like it's a piece of art as much as it is a song. It's another really long, sweeping one. Don't really get it, but it has that really eerie video that tells the end story for Major Tom, and it's just, I just found it, I just couldn't stop looking at it and listening to it.
So now, was this the album that he wrote and recorded when he knew that he was dying? That's right.
Yeah. And this is, love it all, but I really, really love this song. And my husband has caught me listening to it again and says, "What the fuck is this?" I mean, I know it's weird, but it's just it has that sort of that opera kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody thing where it's got different moods and different sections. It's really quite incredible.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I think it was Lazarus was the hit of the album, I think, wasn't it?
Song as well, but I found that song so unusual and the video so weird that was like, that's what you want from David Bowie.
Yeah. I'll add that one to the video playlist so that everyone can
have
a look at that one as well. Okay, so what else have you got?
Oh, so many things. I mean, Rebel Heroes we hadn't mentioned.
Yeah.
What the hell? There's just too many.
Yeah, so neither of us had Heroes, which is I thought I was being controversial about not having Heroes, and you never had it either.
I love Heroes. I love it. But no, everyone loves Heroes. So I wondered if that was just a bit obvious, but how can we not have Heroes on here?
Well, I mean, I especially love the twirls in Heroes. They're really nice. Or the double deckers. They're really nice. Well, terrible joke that was. I'm not even going to ding that joke. I don't need to give that. That was terrible. Anyway, Maria Pereira.
But I feel pleased that I've introduced you to some.
Absolutely. And that's, like I've said it so many times, and Neil has said it as well before, the beauty of this is that we get to find out about so many songs and movies and TV shows that it's never on our radar. So when I'm putting the video playlist together and stuff, I come across these songs now that I can listen to. And I had it with Anne with some of these songs about places where there was a lot of big band stuff and Rolling Stones songs that I'd never heard of. So now I've got, and we did it with, you reminded me of like Song for Guy for the Elton John one. I hadn't thought about that song for years before you put it as your number one. Spoilers if you've not heard that episode.
So how many did we have in common?
So we ended up with 3.
Is that, wow. I that just speaks to what an artist David Bowie is that we both have such a pantheon to choose from.
And I was really surprised. I put more than you said 6 and I said 7. We just about got halfway of that. So crazy, absolutely crazy. Right, we did have some more honourable mentions. Maria Pereira said Suffragette City, Rebel, Under Pressure, I'm Afraid of Americans. Do you know that one?
I don't know that one.
I don't know what that's from, so I'll have to have a look in a minute. And Lazarus. Kelly says Under Pressure is one of the best songs ever. Maria Martinez says, when David Bowie passed away, my Spotify was just consistent Bowie for 3 months straight. Yep. She said, anyway, I tried to pick out my top 10, but came up with 12, which basically is what we just said. She says, Wild is the Wind, Ashes to Ashes, Breaking Glass, This Is Not America. This Is Not America, Letter to Hermione, Sound and Vision, Let's Dance, Kooks, Moon Age Daydream, Time Will Crawl, Aladdin Sane, Station to Station. SP Film Viewers podcast said, Let's Dance, Put on Your Red Shoes and Dance the Blues. And Kim Mendes, Changes and Suffragette City.
Gosh.
So there you go.
Some people agree with me about songs then.
Absolutely, yeah. Some of the ones that you mentioned there that I'd never had, like Kooks and Wild is the Wind. Maria had those. So tell us a bit more about the podcast. Like I say, I was listening to a couple of episodes today, and I do find it's fascinating, like you say, when you're talking to people that are at the top of their game when it comes to fame or how they handle fame more than anything else.
think it's really interesting. It's called Fame, does what it says on the tin. We talk about, I was really inspired by, I heard a psychologist on a podcast talking about the fact that if you are a famous person, your brain chemistry is altered. And that just really stuck with me. It's like, wow. So, and what the thing that I've noticed as well is, I think I talk about it in the episode with Jamila Jamil, who is now so wildly famous, but I knew her when she was just starting her TV career. She was on T4, and she hasn't changed. But I realized I had changed around her, because I was like, my God, this woman is now so famous. You know, so I think that even if you are sort of like staying grounded and staying the same, inevitably people around you change as well. So I thought it was an interesting thing to explore. Some people don't want to talk about it. Some people are so wildly uncomfortable with any idea of talking about themselves in that way, because there's such a stigma to being proud of being famous or wanting to be famous. And so that they're the kinds of things that we explore on the podcast. We've had Amy Schumer, Jamila Jamil, Catherine Ryan. I had Brian Cox from Succession on recently. So there's an interesting bunch there.
Well, I'll put the link for the podcast in the show notes. So please go and have a listen to it, because it's fascinating. It's hearing a different side of people's fame. And the thing is, a lot of people will look at it from the showbiz sides of newspapers and websites and think that they are just people that are there to be knocked down, aren't they? And it's interesting to hear their side of the story from it, really.
That's the thing. I think it is really, really easy to not think of them as human beings. You know, for instance, our friend David Bowie, you know, you said earlier, when he died, it was like, but hang on a minute, he's not supposed to die. What? You just forget that they're more than this figment in your imagination of this superstar. They're just people.
Can you remember that crazy, like, 3 or 4 weeks where I think George Michael died, Carrie Fisher died, her mum died the following day. I think then Bowie died. I think Rick Parfitt died around the same time. It was like so many celebrities. Prince, they all died in the sort of space of a couple of months. And it was crazy that all these people, like big people.
It did feel like the rapture. It was sort of like, you know,
for famous people.
Yes. I know.
But, well, Jo, we've done it. We've done it again. We've got another top 10 in the bag. So what can I say? I mean, I think that one was harder than the Elton John one.
Yes, definitely.
Which I'm really surprised about. So there you go. Okay, before we actually say our proper goodbyes, if you want to check us out, social media, email, on our Patreon, just go to the show notes. It's so much easier than me just to say it to you and you forget about it. Just go to the show notes, click on all the links. They're all on there. And also go and subscribe to Jo's Fame podcast. You'll just click on the link on the show notes there. It's all there, all the info for you. Jo, once again, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
And you, what are you going to torture me with next time?
Well, what do you fancy? Maybe something, maybe sort of TV or movie related, or...
Okay, let's do that.
We'll do something like that. We'll find something fun, I'm sure. Thank you once again, Jo.
See you soon.
Thank you, and thank you very much, everybody, for watching and listening, and let's go start the countdown.